नमस्ते, म स्मृति लामा श्रम संसारमा यहाँलाई हार्दिक स्वागत गर्दछु। आज हामी सदा चाहिँ विदेशी हाम्रो पाहुनासँग छौँ। आज हामीसँग IDWF का महासचिव अड्रिना हुनुहुन्छ। उहाँसँगको कुराकानीलाई अगाडि बढाउन चाहन्छौँ। सो नमस्ते सिस्टर, मोस्ट वेलकम इन नेपाल. So how have you been looking up with your introduction? We would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's really a pleasure to get to know the GFOND Trade Union School. Our stay here in Kathmandu has been truly amazing. The highlights of our trips has been being in contact with the domestic workers unions and the trade unions, and to really get into to have a deeper understanding about the issues facing here in Nepal.
Yeah, it was a really pleasure to have all EXCO leadership of the IDWF here, and then you have chosen Nepal to do so. We are much happy to welcome all the EXCO members here. And yes, having said that, as General Secretary of IDWF, how you have been looking up on the issues of the domestic work within a wall of work? Mm-hmm. So what are the challenges? I mean, what makes them different? You know, several work there are, but what makes them different in your point of view?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, domestic work has historically been not regarded as proper work, and domestic workers have never been regarded as actual workers. So that is one of the first struggles that the sector has, and the first unions were born under this exact same banner. Domestic work is work, and it should be provided under decent working conditions. Since the movement has adopted and the ILO Convention C189 on decent work for domestic worker, this is a milestone in the history of domestic worker organizing. So the fight worldwide is to get rights and recognitions, not only in the legal frameworks, that is the first step, to change what is unjust or to create what doesn't exist. If domestic workers don't have recognition or a legal framework of protection, so that's the first step of the struggle. And the second step of the struggle is to make these legal protections, make it real in the life of domestic workers, so they are enforced and they are implemented.
Yes, as you mentioned that how tough it is to recognize itself as a work. However, we can see in the wall of work, this is the one of the work that need more, focused. I mean, more it's about the care and everything it included, and then it has been excluded considered as itself as a work, as you mentioned that. Yes, and how have IDWF is working throughout the world? You know, you have been organizing in different part of the world also through your affiliates. So how have you seen the changing context of domestic work in other part of the world?
Yes, IDWF today has 88 domestic workers unions affiliated in 68 countries, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, in the Caribbean, in North America, in Europe, and in the Middle East and North Africa. They face very similar challenges. Domestic work, as I said before, it is considered an extension of the unpaid care work that women do. Because it is considered an extension of their obligation due to their gender, then it has been very hard to get the rights and recognitions. But in 2011, the International Labour Conference adopted this convention, and that helped the global struggle for rights and recognition. So in different regions, we are in different stages. What domestic workers everywhere fight is for a basic decent working condition agenda, which is to get a contract a written contract that not only recognizes the employment relationship, but something that outlines very clearly the conditions of employment, a minimum wage. Many workers do not even get paid. They get paid in kind, meaning just food or a roof, or sometimes some clothes that employers no longer want. So, but we want to have the same equality of conditions as any other worker in any other occupation. So minimum wage is also very a priority in the agenda. The inclusion into the social security and the social protection. There are domestic workers that they have been working all their lives for 20, 25, 30, 50 years, and when the retirement age comes, they have nothing. They don't have savings, they don't have a house, they don't have health, even though they have been working all their lives. And it's because the social security programs or social security laws exclude them from these benefits. So that is first in the agenda, and of course there are a lot of issues that come together: gender-based violence and harassment, migration. There are 12 million migrant domestic workers around the globe, and we see that domestic work, along with construction and agriculture, are the main occupations where migrant workers find a job. And since this year we had the general discussion in the International Labour Conference on care, economy and decent work, we have been also talking about the global care chains. There are so many workers that have to go overseas to provide care for those countries where there is no care systems and relied on migrant labor. But we have to ensure that this migration is done through safe pathways and with an agenda for formalization and also regularization. So there are a lot of the issues that we are working on. I must say that compared to probably 10 years ago, domestic work is more recognized, and domestic workers and the unions, the organized movement has gained visibility and recognition. Yet still we have a long way to go for these recognitions to be real in the lives of, in the everyday lives of domestic workers.
True. The work that need to fight more, still need to fight for the visibility, shows that how tough it is, the agendas to push. So, however, as I heard about that, you had a good EXCO meeting in Nepal. So we are very we are very looking forward that we can have more active role of IDWF, as you have a new team and then doing a very best things. So having said that, how did you like the work of a domestic worker, as a we said home-based worker, as is included within that? So how have you seen their work within Jufan family or within Nepal case?
Yeah, I think the organizing work that Hoon and Gifont are doing is absolutely admirable, because despite that the conditions are difficult, organizing of domestic workers is very difficult because the nature of domestic work, it is isolated. There is one person in each house, and they work behind closed door, behind high walls, and the recruitment of domestic workers, it is very difficult. But we have seen that here GFOND is a trade central union that is giving all the solidarity and support and the resources for them to organize, but also the inclusion into the labor movement. I mean, the fact that they are included as a sector, it means that they are not alone. So solidarity in action is, I think, the only tool that I've seen that it really works when it comes to the fight for social justice and for labor rights, especially, as you said, for a group of workers that historically societies and economies owes them so much, so much.
Right, right, yes. From every part of the world now, it has been proven after the COVID how importance of the care work, worldwide it has been recognized, and on that part that how IDWF is working, we are also very closely working with IDWF, and then we hope that we can make it more organized part on behalf of Jafont and Arhun that we've been working. By saying so, of course, we have many viewers from the migrant workers also, of course, the domestic workers also. Being as a general secretary, what exactly the message you want to go or you want to express to the domestic workers throughout the globe?
I want to tell and convey the message to domestic workers and domestic workers leaders that you have been proven at every step of the way that what is unthinkable, what is impossible, you made it possible. The fact that you have founded a global union federation, it is a dream that perhaps 25 years ago, 35 years ago, nobody has thought about it. But the determination that the domestic workers have always shown is the inspiration, I think, to the rest of the labor movement. The domestic workers do not have two traditional weapons of struggle, which is the right to strike and collective bargaining agreement. Without having those main traditional tools for the working class, domestic workers have demonstrated that even without those tools, they have been able to gain rights and recognitions, and they keep growing. Our affiliates keep growing their membership, and that shows us that the movement is very vibrant. And I honestly think when you put 2, 3, 4, 100 women together, they change the world, and they are changing history. And I mean, we can see it in so many countries. There are new conversations, new legislations that never happened before. So in every country, domestic workers are making history.
True. And in the case of Nepal, as before, as also during our conversation also, and then some of our domestic workers union leader might share with you that we have now new law for for all, like a social security fund, that the laws cover all, including domestic work. So how have you seen in that context, as we were still fighting for the visibility itself, and then somewhere some unions or like in Nepal case, they are just doing something, pushing forward to up to the social protection part in the contribution based social security. How have you seen that? How have IDWF taken on that part?
I think the inclusion into the labor code and into the social protection is absolutely the first step. And I think now the second step, it is looking at the technical design of how domestic workers and their employers can effectively make the contributions. It is very often that we see that sometimes the recognition, it is there, yet there are still many barriers to make it effective and make it real. Sometimes the barriers are in the administrative in nature or legislative in nature, or the technical design. And I think to really understand where is it that is the barrier, we need at the table the domestic workers themselves, because they understand what is preventing them, but also on the other side of the table, the employers. The tripartism is the only structural mechanism that will allow us to really design social protection schemes, social protection systems that are going to be effective and that will effectively allow the contribution of both parts. That is, I will say, is the second part, the implementation, and it's the hardest one. it really takes a lot of political will and to bring the two parts together and the technical expertise. Our friends from the International Labour Office, they are always there to support. And I think exchange sharing with other countries that have been able to effectively include domestic workers. Informality, it is huge in all the global south. In a global average, 73% of domestic workers are working and living under informality. But if we go to national countries, national percentages is even higher. There are countries that have 98% of informality in the domestic work sector, and that means that there are no decent working conditions for them.
Yeah, it's really a long way to go, but we believe that, the union that pushing together with the international platform IDWF, we can achieve the things, because things would happen if we put more pressures and a more organized form. And it was really happy, and then we, on behalf of our media team, we really would like to thank you for your insightful thinking, and then thank you for your time. And as it's a very hectic week, but we hope that it's really a fruitful one. And once again, on behalf of our media team, we would like to thank you for this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister.
Yes.
It's my absolute pleasure to have a conversation here with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.